Hi everyone, my name is Jaques and I'm an Agile leadership coach with MindForge. I want to talk to you a little bit about feedback and specifically the idea of framing feedback. We all know that it's really important to give people specific and clear feedback so that they can improve. However, we don't spend enough time often on how to frame that feedback in order to have it land well. So what we're looking at here when we're saying feedback needs to be framed is that feedback should be objective without any moralistic judgment. Build confidence before addressing what needs to get better. Apply the 6-to-1 rule. Focus on what you want, not what you don't want. Be specific in what you want to have change. And what you pay attention to is what you'll get more of. Let's explore those ideas a little bit further. When we say objective with no moralistic judgment, what does that actually mean? When you are applying a right or wrong moralistic perspective on a situation, you often evoke emotions on the other side, creating a clouded vision for the other person when they're looking at the situation. Being bad weather animals evolving during an ice age, we have a bias towards the negative and we get fixated on judgments. When we look at things as a spectrum, which is relevant towards what end we're moving, we can put them in terms of being more towards one end or more towards another end. And this framing allows us to think about things and incrementally improving towards an end. The next one is build confidence in what is good before addressing what you want to get better. This means the equivalent of a climber climbing a rock face for the first time, who needs to have pitons that they're nailing into each section that they've conquered. Every time that someone is doing something well, when you give them affirmation and confirmation that that was a good thing to do, you're nailing a piton into the wall, allowing them to be able to build off that confidence. With that in mind, the 6-to-1 rule, which is from Deloitte's study, The Feedback Monster, is the idea that you want to give at least 6 positive, true affirmations about what someone has done well towards a certain end before you give them one thing that you want them to improve on. And maintaining this ratio is crucial in order to continue to have a solid base that you are reaching ever higher to achieve more on. The next thing is focus on what you want, not what you don't want. Marshall Rosenberg, in his book on nonviolent communication, talks about the idea that if you say what you don't want, it doesn't necessarily result in you getting what you want. For instance, if you ask a teenager to stop tapping on the book, he may move the pen over to tap on the desk instead. Communicating the specific need that you want to address has a much higher chance of being met. Be specific. You want people to understand the specifics of what needs to change and how that needs to change. If you are unable to articulate it, the onus needs to move back to you to fully understand what it is that you're after before you give the feedback. If you cannot be specific, be open-minded and collaborate in order to discover where things could go if things aren't necessarily as good as they could be. Finally, what you pay attention to is what you're going to create. So be very careful about what you're pointing out and how you're pointing it out. You want to make sure that you're engaging in reflective thinking, opening the person's mind to possibility space rather than closing their mind and tunnel visioning them towards a specific end. I hope this was an interesting discussion for you around the idea of framing your feedback, and I look forward to finding out how this has helped you in the future. If you like this sort of content, please like and subscribe. I would really appreciate it, and I'd love to see you back for more content.